So what are psychedelics? When people talk about psychedelics, there are four main classical ones. Firstly, you have LSD, DMT, psilocybin mushrooms, and then peyote, also known as mescaline.
Psychedelics in the first three categories, LSD, DMT, and psilocybin, are tryptamines, and mescaline is on its own category. It's a phenylethylamine. But all of these psychedelics share similar properties. The word psychedelic itself means mind manifesting, which you can view as mind expanding. Psychedelics themselves expand the mind, and they do this by inhibiting activity in the default mode network of the brain, which is associated with a sense of self, which is very overactive in people with depression. And so when this activity is inhibited, you feel like you're connected with the rest of the world because your sense of self has been inhibited. So you're connected to the universe in a subjective sense, and this is where the mind-expanding properties of the psychedelics come into play.
You may be familiar with the most popular one, LSD, which is synthesized from a fungus that grows on rye. It's called ergot. LSD, in very tiny amounts, micrograms, is enough to give you a profound psychedelic experience. Psilocybin mushrooms have been used across the world for thousands of years in shamanic cultures. They're naturally grown in areas spanning from India to the United States to South America and even Africa. Additionally, mescaline comes from a cactus, typically used in Native American cultures. And finally, DMT is the psychoactive ingredient to ayahuasca, the South American brew that's been used for shamanic traditions for thousands of years as well.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about DMT in particular is that it's an endogenous entheogen. So it's a naturally produced psychedelic produced within the human body. It's produced in the lungs, which makes sense. When you meditate and focus on your breathing, that leads to a transcendental experience. And one of the nice things about psychedelics is that they guarantee something will happen. Unlike other spiritual traditions where, like meditation, it might work for some and might not work for others, a dose of LSD will guarantee an effect on you. And so the naturally tryptamine psychedelics, the DMT, the LSD, the psilocybin, have a tendency to transport you into the present moment. But with higher doses of something like DMT, it's like going backwards through your own DNA into another dimension. You see the mechanisms of consciousness as they are. And many people report communicating with extra-dimensional beings that control the nature and structure of reality directly and communicate with them through telepathy, which these are the higher level psychedelic experiences, but all of them share these similar properties of a connection with the universe around you. And so that's why they really do expand your mind in ways that aren't really able to be described with words. Conceptualizations don't do it justice. The linguistic nature of human language doesn't have the capacity to describe what these experiences are like, but you can experience them directly and have the connection for yourself, which is what these substances do.
Yeah, they're often described as ineffable, meaning that words just cannot do the experience justice because it's so deep in experience, as well as the way it makes you feel. They're tools and they can point you in the right direction, but aren't enough. Just like you said, the beauty of psychedelics is that you can get a direct religious experience and see for yourself.
Yes, the mystical experience of psychedelics can be known as being entheogenic. Entheogen means generating the divine within. En means within, theo means theology. And so traditionally, psychedelics like DMT are considered entheogenic because of their extreme spiritual properties, but they're not consistently utilized in that process by everybody. For example, for treating depression at Johns Hopkins, psilocybin is used as a form of therapy, which is just as good for curing the things that you want to cure. It depends on the mindset that you want to go in with it with, because these tools have a range of potential properties that you can use to benefit your experience in a variety of ways.
And as far as the experience itself, psychedelic users report many different sensations, including synesthesia, the mixing of senses. Also, people report feeling more connected to themselves and to the universe, also to nature. Many people have profound and mystical type experiences, which are very similar to near-death experiences.
Yeah, the synesthesia is interesting. Tasting color and seeing sound. It's definitely something to experience for yourself. The near-death experience correlation is especially interesting with DMT. A recent journal article that came out in Frontiers of Neuropsychology that posits that the DMT and near-death experience state are very similar in a way that deserves further investigation, and I completely agree. There's something to be found there. So regardless of your intention of using a psychedelic and what you think about psychedelics, we can be guaranteed they can expand your ideas about the world and also your ideas about who you are.
People also report a greater sense of well-being and peace in their lives after taking these in some of the recent studies that have come out. Also, the reason that people report a death-like experience is due to the way it deactivates the default mode network in your brain, your sense of self, and it's also known as ego death.
Yes, that's what it's called in the literature. The ego is not your amigo. Pretty sure Terence McKenna said that one.